I have dedicated my professional career to the study and control of arthropods.
Okay, this is part 2 of Empty Without Jesus's video, More of Darwin's Theory Exposed. My response to this, I want to, I ended the first part where you compared yourself to Darwin, and I don't think you intended to do that, but that's certainly what you did. You made a comparison that because the two of you don't have a degree in science, therefore your opinions are of somehow equal value, or that it's hypocritical to make that comparison. But the reality is, what you didn't seem to grasp is that Darwin was versed in scientific methodology, and he followed that methodology in all of his work. You could do the same thing without any degree, without any scientific knowledge. If you were to go out and you were to collect, I don't know, earthworms or something from your backyard, and you were to design a series of experiments, and you were to publish papers with those demonstrating some principle, even disproving natural selection could possibly occur, all right, your papers would get published, provided you followed the methodology. Your lack of degree would not be an impediment to that, okay? Understand that difference, okay? It's what makes it. So that's that. You got to see that. In fact, if you disproved reality is if you disproved natural selection, if anybody actually succeeded in showing even a method by which natural selection is improbable or unlikely or can't account for the diversity of life, you would win a Nobel Prize, and that's not an empty comment. You would be published in the most prestigious journals on the planet, and you would definitely win a Nobel Prize in biology. The fact that that's not even been attempted says something. Anyway, but that aside, I want to go on with this. I don't want to run out of time here. You make a comment about Dawkins and about why he won't debate Ray Comfort despite. Okay, first of all, I want to make this clear. I like some of what Dawkins stands for and says, and I respect him as a scientist. His scientific research is impeccable. I disagree with some of his conclusions. Again, scientists, we disagree with each other. Okay, lots of us disagree with each other, and I'm not anywhere close to his caliber in his field. But some of the other, some of his social issues, I've had some disagreement with. But he has stated from the beginning of his sort of public face, his public appeal, mass appeal, he's made it clear that under no circumstances will he debate with evangelicals on questions of origins or on theology. Okay, he won't do it. Not because he's afraid to. He believes it's futile. He's has many times addressed those arguments that they've made, and he demolishes them. He's very, very good at that. He's not going to get up. The fact of the matter is that public debate forum that creationists love so much lends itself to their type of arguments. It lends itself to the Gish Gallop. It lends itself to that, to win by popular appeal, not by accuracy or being right. If you've ever been in debate beforehand, you can argue. A good debater can argue any side of any issue if they know the right things to say. If they can elicit a cheer from the audience, they've won that point, even if what they've said is completely meaningless or full of crap. Dawkins doesn't do that. I wish he would. I think he would be quite brilliant at it. The issue is with Ray Comfort. If you've ever watched Ray Comfort, I'm sure you have, you seem to think, when presented with actual information, the reality is Ray Comfort looks like a deer in the headlights. He stands there dumbfounded, clueless for a second, and then goes back and repeats the argument he just made. He's not the brightest stick in the bunch, and I'm sure he's a nice guy. I have nothing against Ray Comfort whatsoever, but he doesn't understand what he's talking about. I believe he's one of the creationists, leaders out there who really doesn't understand, who really believes what they say, who's not a fraud, but I don't think he's smart enough to understand why he's wrong. He seems to repeat the same things over and over again, and he repeatedly will go back to those arguments. Anyway, that aside, I'm going to go through this little list that you made of what he says, just not everything, but it's kind of important to say. You state that he says that his argument is that an atheist is someone who believes that nothing created everything, and if you don't believe that, you're not an atheist. This is one of Ray Comfort's. I've seen this and variations of this a lot in his videos, in his presentations. It's wordplay, okay? The operative word there is created. If he can get you to say created, then he's tricked you into admitting there's a creator, okay? That's the wordplay he's using there. If you believe that nothing created everything, the operative word is created. I don't believe nothing created everything. I think that there's a certain amount of steady state. Everything has always been in some form or another, whether or not we quite understand how that works. That's an issue for people in a different scientific field than I, and it's one that physicists are tackling and making amazing advances. But that's not by getting, it's not brilliant. It's not the brilliant little piece of logic that you think it is. Okay. Anyway, but that aside, I'm not going to get into that issue. I want to get into my area, what I do know. Where did females come from in every species? Now, I did a video series on sexual biology. That is my area of expertise. That's where my degrees are in. And it's the most ignorant argument. I mean, I actually have, whenever I run across a YouTuber using that argument, I almost stop the video because it shows, okay, that I know you're not going to think your way past this point. Okay, it's really, really ignorant, and it shows a complete lack of understanding of sexual biology, of evolution in general, of biology in general. Okay, and maybe this is an oversimplification of the position, but it's this idea that if you take, I don't know, pick a species, a rhesus monkey, and evolutionists believe that rhesus monkeys evolved, then we have to believe that there was this rhesus monkey spontaneously evolved a vagina. Oh, geez, what is that? I have a vagina now. Huh. And by some accident, another rhesus monkey evolved a penis at the same time, so therefore they could mate. And that's the only way it could have happened. And if you state it that way, it's absurd. The reality is the sexes, male and female, evolved long before rhesus monkeys, long before multicellular organisms. Some form of sexual reproduction occurs in bacteria, but the true sexes as we know them today, male, female, it was called anisogamy, evolved during the single cell phase, probably repeatedly, not just once. It's a repeated. It evolved several times in history, and I've done a video on how that evolved. It's pretty well understood. We've inherited those traits from those single-celled things, and I don't mean the exterior genitalia, but the fact of the matter is it's really ignorant. Which came first, the blood, the heart, or the blood vessels? Well, that's really easy. The blood came first. If you look at most primitive multicellular animals, they don't have a heart and they don't have blood vessels. They're the fluid, that flows through their body, carrying nutrients to their cells, flows just in between, flows through gaps in between organ systems or whatever. Okay, it just flows around. It's able to absorb. As they become larger, we see this increase in complexity. We see tubules by which that can flow. When you get larger than that, you simply doesn't flow naturally. You need a system. So we have blood vessels that have muscles along them that pump. Some of these have blood, like worms and things, have a blood vessel that pumps. We call it a heart, but it's not really a heart, along every single major segment in their body. Okay, we see that whole continuum of bloodless things that can just absorb right from seawater, to things that have an internal blood that's different than seawater, to things that have that primitive blood flowing through vessels, at least in a portion of their body, to blood vessels that have no heart, to things that have pumping blood vessels in a heart. We see the whole continuum exists in the animal kingdom today, so it's not a great miracle. No transitional species in the fossil record. There's tens of thousands of transitional species in the fossil record. You're not recognizing them doesn't mean they don't exist. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm going to end here with that and take up your discussion of Newton, Kepler, and Galileo.